Tape Deck Media.
See you at the party, Richter!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of See You at the Party, Richter. I am one of your hosts, Joseph Beck Castro. Joining me, as always, is Aaron Frescus.
Hello.
And Christopher, I can't come up with a good thing to say, Chapman.
What's up, dudes?
There we go. Thank you for bailing me out. And joining us for this episode, you've heard her on the pod before, various different episodes, and even a little bit of a replacement for me on some Stay Hungry episodes. But we'd like to welcome back Erika Shasky. So, hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys.
So I think you were on maybe like the third or fourth episode or something, but we never got to ask you the guest questionnaire. So, yeah, let's just do that really quick. So, do you have a favorite Arnold movie?
Actually, Last Action Hero is my favorite one.
Well,
Nice.
Look at that. How lucky are we? Do you have a least favorite Arnold movie?
Oh, gosh. You know what? There are several now that you guys have put me through this adjacently. Let's see.
She's like, I'm not even sure I entirely like the guy anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Stay Hungry was pretty awful for me, to be honest. I actually got up.
The whole thing.
I got up and walked out. I couldn't. I felt like I was wasting my time. I actually started doing chores. That's how bad it was.
Wow. Well, I guess that's preferable.
Yeah.
The other question was, have you seen this movie before? But
Yes.
I guess you kind of answered that already by saying it's your favorite.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just your favorite because it's one you haven't seen. It's the only one you haven't been annoyed by.
Oh, yeah.
But-
No, I like this one.
Okay. Well, there we go. I think that's going to do it for intros. Of course, I should have mentioned the movie we're doing. It is Arnold's. We're going to continue the coverage of Arnold's 1993 action comedy satire vehicle, Last Action Hero. So why don't we get into some production information? How about you take it away, Aaron?
Yeah. All right. So, Last Action Hero, which if for some reason there's someone who hasn't seen it, like Joe was saying, it's a 1993 action, adventure, comedy, fantasy, satire, any other genres I missed there?
Vehicle.
Crime movie.
Vehicles. Crime?
Yeah.
Yeah, crime. There was a few more. There was like listed on IMDb. It was like a one-man army. There was a couple others.
One-man army.
Anyway, yeah, which is apparently a genre on IMDb. Anyway,
I guess
All right.
First Blood would probably be like that.
Sure.
is
A John Wick.
is that one really a one-man army? I feel like the third one. I haven't seen it, but I know that
yeah,
one.
First Blood.
Definitely.
He takes out like the entire police department by himself.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Cop and a half, because it's one man and one kid. So it is
Yep.
technically a one-man army.
True.
Turner and Hooch also.
It's kind of downplaying Hooch's
Well,
contribution there, but
he's a dog.
wait. Is Turner's the Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why his name. I mean, his name could
That would be
Hooch.
kind of funny. Like if you made the title Turner and Hooch and
The human's name is Hooch?
Yeah, gave the
Or
dog
Turner
like
and
a
Pooch and the. Okay. Anyway,
Yep.
so the movie's directed by John McTiernan, who is also credited as one of the film's producers. And just like we did with Stay Hungry, I'm once again gonna have like Wikipedia give us the basic plot because they do a pretty good job of it. And I'm like, there's a lot here that I had to write. Okay, so anyway, it says, quote, the film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Jack Slater, a Los Angeles police detective within the Jack Slater action film franchise, while Austin O'Brien co-stars as Danny Madigan, a boy magically transported into the Slater universe, and Charles Dance as Mr. Benedict, a ruthless assassin from the Slater universe who escapes into the real world.
Mhm.
And that's, in case that description is not clear, it's basically about a kid who's given a magic ticket that transports him into an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
That's basically it, right?
It's a very meta movie, so some stuff might sound confusing if you haven't seen it before.
Yeah. And I just basically described it in my own words. So, but anyway, okay. So the film had 4 writers listed on IMDb, with Shane Black and David are not credited for the screenplay. And then the story credits going to Zach Penn and Adam Leff, who co-wrote the original script And in order to learn a little bit more about that original script, we're going to kick things off by traveling all the way back to the year 1991. Yeah. And what a magical year it was, according to my Google search.
Hold on.
Seriously.
Hold on for a second.
Yes.
1991, had Zach Penn done anything else? Like, I recognize that name, but I don't
this
really...
is the first thing.
Okay.
This is the first thing that both of them, they didn't, not that they wrote, but that they got like produced or whatever.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, 1991, in the sports world, you had Super Bowl 25, which became a game to remember with an absolutely incredible Whitney Houston performance that kicked the national anthem right in the fucking dick, which was followed by the New York Giants defeating the Buffalo Bills 20-19 after a place kicker Ray Finkel missed the game-winning field goal due to damn leader not holding the ball laces out, which I believe ended up making like a poorly aged movie about a few years later. I don't know. Which is basically what happened, minus the whole laces out thing, right?
Yeah. It was Scott Norwood, and before you said that, I could have named the Super Bowl, because I told you that's my Rain Man power.
Which I figured right when I said, wait, was it when I said the which one it was, or the year?
The year, but it'd be the 1990 season, but the Super Bowl happened in 1991.
So does it count, would it be the 1991 suit? Yeah, it had to be, because that's what I looked up.
But they don't go like... It's usually like if they're celebrating, they're like 1990 world champions,
season.
but usually it's like Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it happens in February.
25 champion. Yeah. Oh, it used to be the last Sunday of January.
Oh.
And then 9/11, then it was the first weekend in February. Then they added a 7-day game. And then they moved it back. Yeah.
Look what else they ruined.
Yeah. Which I
Some might argue their greatest crime. Anyway. That'll get cut.
Will it though?
Oh God.
I don't remember that. I was like, oh yeah, Super Bowl. Then I started looking it up. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to mention. Then I saw, I was like, oh man, there's Ace Ventura all over that thing. Like, hell yeah. Which I'm assuming is, because has it happened before? Like I'm assuming that's what they kind of took that from. They're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if that's where they took it from, but that's like the only time that's really happened.
And it was just like so right after, like it seems like very like inspired by. Anyway, the public was also introduced to the World Wide Web and our guest for this episode, Erika Shasky. Yeah, both of which I've spent countless hours logged into. So, you know.
Wow.
I had to put a little break between that so that way I can delete it if I needed to. Which the only other thing that I had written was, and I'm proud to say that I spent a significant amount of time on both of them. So, whichever one you prefer, Erika, is what I'll add in there. Or just delete both of them anyway.
I don't care. It's your podcast.
Erika's like, nobody fucking listens to you fucking idiots. I don't give a shit what you put on your podcast.
In music, The Simpsons Sing the Blues somehow reached number 3 on the Billboard Top 200 album
What do you mean
chart.
somehow? That is a seminal album.
That's true. We used to, in your old Honda Civic that had the fucking system in the back, we used to bump that album.
Deep, deep trouble.
Yeah. Born under a bad sign.
Which was outside only by Madonna, like a greatest hits album, and then Vanilla Ice. In that particular, I think they go by a week, but because just music was just in a weird place in the 90s. There's a lot of soundtracks.
Yeah,
but then we have the film industry, with Arnold Schwarzenegger cementing his place as one of the biggest stars in the world with the release of his latest film, Terminator 2. But little did Arnold or anyone else in Hollywood know at the time that 2 unknown screenwriters, Zach Penn and Adam Leff, had begun work on a spec script that would eventually become his next movie. Yeah. So real quick, does anyone know what a spec script, like which is a speculative script, is?
My understanding is that a spec script is a script that you write without being asked to.
Yes.
Like, you write it just because you want to write it, and you send it into the studios to sell it to them, as opposed to if you work for the studio, and they are actually telling you, hey, we want you to write this movie. We are going to pay you this much to write it. We may or may not use it, but we are paying you to write it. This is a spec script is one that you just write. A lot of TV writers will write spec scripts for like TV
episodes.
Shows that already exist, like or even TV shows that are already over, just to like show that they can write.
Yeah, it's basically a script that a writer was not paid or commissioned to write, so they wrote it independently with the hope of selling it. Mm-hmm. And by the way, most of this info, pretty much all this info, comes from like a bevy of like different articles as well as a few different books including Hit and Run by Nancy Griffin and Kim Masters, Fiasco, A History of Hollywood's about iconic flops by James Robert Parrish. That is not the title. That is just me trying to whatever. And then Blockbuster by Tom Schoen. Okay, so anyway, Last Action Hero's original writers, Adam Leff and Zach Penn, were two college buddies who moved to LA and were making a living as script readers. I think it was for Quincy Jones Productions at the time, when they came up with an idea for their own script, a sort of parody of action movies. So they spent the next 6 months watching pretty much every action movie they can get their hands on in order to research the genre, which they did this by making checklists to help them dissect the genre's tropes. And those checklists contained.
They had a lot of checks mix.
Yeah.
Those checklists contain questions like, does the second most evil bad guy die before or after the most evil bad guy? Or does the hero have a Vietnam buddy because your war buddy always betrays you?
Okay.
And what holiday is the film taking place on? And then when does it become personal for the hero? So, yeah, they were watching a lot of 80s stuff. They mentioned Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. I guess it would be the first one. I don't know when 2 came out, but it would be the first one, the first 2. And then they mentioned something like a Steven Seagal movie that they watched the whole thing for. And he was going around killing a bunch of people. I don't remember which one they said it was. And at the end, you end up finding out that all these people that he killed had nothing to do with the bad guy at the end.
What the hell?
He ended up killing a bunch of innocent people throughout the whole thing. So, I don't know. I don't remember which one that was, but anyway, they finished the script in September of 1991, which they titled "Extremely Violent." They were then able to secure an agent by having friends that worked at low-level studios, basically not interns, but
Padawans?
Assistants and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, call up their future agent, who ends up being their agent, Chris Moore, and telling them about this amazing script that they still needed, he needed to read, and that it would be perfect for Arnold Schwarzenegger. This actually worked because harebrained schemes from the 1980s sitcom still worked in the 90s.
Yeah,
I was
apparently.
How did that fucking work?
You'd never get
that shit
anywhere
doesn't work
close to
anymore.
that. Yeah, you'd never get close to anybody now.
You gotta hear the script, see? Okay, so before we continue, I want to take a second to talk about this original Zach Penn, Adam Leff script, because I think knowing the basics of it will help understand the very basics of it, because we'll go over it later, but help understand some of the upcoming decisions that are made. So full disclosure, I didn't read the script, but I did ask Chris to read it. Did you end up reading it?
Yes, I read it.
Okay. And we'll talk about some of the changes that were made later, like I said, but I just want to get some basic info out of it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the original script seems as if it was written specifically with Arnold Schwarzenegger in mind.
For sure. The character's
role, right?
name is Arno Slater instead of Jack Slater.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just that for right now. But with that in mind, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the first studio that their agent, Chris Moore, sent the script to was Coralco Pictures. Yeah, who had produced Arnold's last 2 films, Terminator 2 and Total Recall. Surprisingly, though, Mario Casar was somehow able to resist throwing just $1 gajillion at this. I don't know how, because that's his thing, apparently.
Actually, maybe he may have not had quite $1 gajillion at the time.
Yes, which I don't.
I know Terminator 2 did well, and so did Total
Terminator
Recall,
2 did
but
do well.
It doesn't. But
they also
seem
made Cutthroat Island.
Yeah,
right.
Which was something that
that's what he made instead of this.
Well, that's what there's a comment that John McTiernan makes about. He passed on this, but he made Cutthroat Island, so fuck him. He got what he got what he deserved. For I don't know, sort of thing. But that wasn't made for a few years later. So
okay.
Anyway, but yeah, according to the New York Times, they rejected it because they quote disliked the script and particularly the ending in which the action hero threw his gun away. Is that pretty much what happens at the end of it?
Yeah, that's the very end, though. I will say, his arc in this original script is quite a bit different from actually what we got in Last Action Hero. So
he's also super dumb, isn't he? I think that was one of the things.
I wouldn't say super dumb, but he is definitely dumber, way less self-aware.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure dumber.
Zach Penn and Adam Leff definitely had a problem with the fact that Shane Black made him more aware and made him kind of a sad character.
Yeah, for sure.
Sadder. Yeah. So
yeah, but it's way more interesting. I don't know. We'll get into it when we get into the summary, but I find the Last Action Hero version way more interesting.
Did you read both of them?
No. I'm just saying, what I remember of the movie versus the script.
Oh, okay. Well, because that ends up not being like the final script either. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Apparently once Carolco passed on it, their agent just started sending it to 5 different studios in hopes of preventing bad word of mouth. Basically trying to find a buyer before word got around that Carolco had passed on it.
Got it.
Yeah. And I know they're like also like kind of striving for like a seller's market or whatever. And that if any studios would have found out, they'd have been like probably would have lowered the amount that they were going to offer. But I'm curious if any of the studios would have sold them like, whoa, Carolco passed?
Yeah.
Those guys will buy anything. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. We need to really rethink this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 2 of those studios, Columbia Pictures and TriStar Pictures, ended up liking the script enough to start a bidding war, with the offers supposedly getting as high as $700,000.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
The only problem was that both Columbia and TriStar were both owned by the same parent company, Sony Entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah. Idiots.
So once the 2 studios realized they were bidding against each other, they both lowered their bids pretty sightly.
That's bullshit.
I guess it's like, how do you not realize that? But I guess
Yeah.
if it's supposed to be secretive, then
Yeah.
like it's the early 90s. There's no like basic
Also,
communication.
It's also probably not like, it's not like the studio is going after it. It's like one producer at the studio has read the script and decides he wants to go buy it. So he might not be talking to all the other studio executives.
So Columbia eventually ends up optioning the script for $100,000 paid up front against a total of $350,000 if the movie actually ends up getting made. Okay, so Columbia at this point was kind of in a, I guess, interesting place. Mark Canton had recently taken over as chairman after leaving Warner Brothers. And he was involved in some of the like big hits with Warner Brothers, including Lethal Weapon, the first 2, I think, and then the 1989 Batman film.
Okay.
But he'd also overseen production on some gigantic like bombs as well, including The Bonfire of the Vanities, which he called, quote, the best movie I ever saw after its first screening.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen The Bonfire of the Vanities, so I don't really have an opinion, but if it's got a 15% Rotten Tomato score, like if that's any indication, yeah. And that's the critic one. The audience one's a little higher, but it's still sitting at 26. So it's,
Jesus,
like even the audience is giving you that low of a score. It's probably not the best. I don't know.
I've never seen it. I have no idea what it's about, but yeah.
Never even heard of it.
I think it's about rich people. It's a movie with Tom Hanks and Bruce Willis and Melanie Griffith. I don't know what it's about, but it's based on a book, but I think it's Tom Wolfe, but I'm not positive.
I know it's a famous book, but yeah, just
okay. So anyway, Mark Canton. So this was the dude that was in charge of Columbia Pictures at the time that they purchased Last Action Hero / Extremely Violent, the script, which according to the book Hit and Run, he did because he was determined to find Columbia its next big franchise, and he felt that Last Action Hero could be it if they could somehow get Arnold Schwarzenegger on board, who'd taken a year off from making movies to, like he started at Planet Hollywood. He launched Planet Hollywood alongside Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore. Yeah, which we'll get into the whole story of Planet Hollywood maybe on a different episode. Who knows? Eh? I don't know. Joe, you been to Planet Hollywood before?
The casino?
No, sorry. Planet Hollywood, the restaurants.
Maybe back in the 90s at Universal.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Apparently there was one in Vegas up until like 2000. I looked it up the other day, 2015 or something like that, which I had no idea. Like in the mall right next to the casino, the hotel. Yeah, no idea, because I definitely would have gone in there because I'm like the perfect like sucker, like poor person that was like, oh my god, Hollywood. I can see Arnold Schwarzenegger's jacket.
a fucking mark.
Yeah, a fucking rube that will like.
It's a jockstrap Adam Sandler wore in Longest Yard.
I went there.
Think of,
go ahead.
You did go there?
I remember we went there like once.
Okay, I don't think
it
I
was so long ago. No. It was so long ago. I barely remember it. Yeah, I just remember.
Do you know who you're with?
Just mom and my dad. I think. I don't think there was anybody else, but I could.
One of those Frescus free trips that you guys used to take.
Fuck you! You guys went to Universal Studios and watched a TV show, and I had to stay at home.
Alive?
What? No.
They call them double Fs.
No, there was a specific time where you guys all went up to LA to go to Universal Studios, and I got left at home.
Oh yeah. Wait. Was that when we went to Hollywood Squares?
Yeah, you guys saw a fucking
Were you there
TV
for
show.
Hollywood Squares? Oh yeah, I met Whoopi Goldberg.
You know
that
how
was fun.
fucking mad I was?
Yeah, she gave me a t-shirt.
I was goddamn obsessed with TV at that, like, so horribly obsessed with TV at that age, and you guys got to go watch a TV show. I was so unbelievably mad.
I'm like, yeah, I met Whoopi. No big deal.
Yeah.
No problem. Like, I actually
No
did.
whoop.
Which is yeah, that was interesting. Nobody ever believes me. I'm like, yeah, I met Whoopi Goldberg. She gave me a shirt because I got brought up on stage for some reason. Like, out of everybody going to pick it, and then pick the awkward kid. And then everybody's dancing up there, like, because it was like in between tapings of Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
So they like start bringing people up, and they brought me up, and they're like, everyone's dancing. I'm like, I'm just like standing there awkwardly because I'm not going to dance. What was I like?
I think that. Yeah, now I remember. I think that made me extra mad because I was like, you got picked to go on fucking stage.
And you didn't even appreciate it?
Yeah. It sounded like you got a goddamn acting job in Hollywood and I was stuck at home. To me when I was 7 or whatever.
Yeah, you're like every model ever in existence. Like, oh, I was just going with my friend to this model agency, and then they picked me for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I wonder why.
Awkwardness? She's like, oh, this poor kid. Oh, no, he's getting laid anytime soon. Let's bring him up here.
And every model in existence was like, oh, I was just gawky and awkward in like middle school and high school. And now I'm like the hottest chick in existence. Like, okay. Yeah,
I mean, I am enjoying this this comparison for now. Okay. So anyway, so Columbia sends a script to Arnold's agent during Christmas time in 91, and he lets them know soon after that Arnold is interested. The only problem was that Arnold was also considering at least 4 other projects at the time. The New York Times article that I read listed 10, but they only said it was at least 10, but only listed 4.
Mm.
Yes, but those projects, which according to the New York Times were, quote, TriStar's cop gives waitress $2 million tip.
Oh.
Which, does that sound familiar to anyone besides Erika?
Yeah, it's, oh my God. Hold on. I'm going to get the name of it. It Could Happen to You. That's what it
yes.
was. Yeah.
Is Costner in that?
No, it's
that's
Nick Cage
Cage
and Rosie Perez.
And Bridget Fonda. Yes, it ends up being the 1994 Bridget Fonda and Nicolas Cage romantic comedy, It Could Happen to You, which also stars Rosie Perez, a.k.a. early 90s Jenna Ortega, because that's exactly who she looks like to me. Exactly.
What's his name? Oh, fucking...
Nick Cage?
Dude from The Wire. No, the dude from The Wire.
Yeah, Bunk from The Wire.
Yeah.
Not Wes Borland. That's the guitarist for... No,
Biscuit?
Yeah. No, Bunk. I'm sorry. Bunk Moreland is his name in the show. It's Wendell Pierce.
Oh. Wendell Pierce, yes. I even said his name last time.
All right. Well, Wes Borland is like an understandable mix-up then.
Well, Bunk Moreland, Wes Borland.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Which was based on a true story with a working title given by the New York Times pretty much describing what it is, but... Okay,
that's a really funny working title. Just like description of movie.
Exactly. Have either of you seen it?
Yeah.
Joe or Chris? Yes, you have seen it, Chris?
Yeah, we had that on VHS. I think I watched it a bunch of times when I was a kid.
Well, you were watching with Mom then, because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure she was. Yeah.
Okay, so first off, this is the second movie we've learned about that Nicolas Cage ended up with after Arnold passed. What was the first? Although I guess it's actually the first one chronologically because The Rock came out in 96.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Secondly, Erika and I watched that last night.
The Rock or It Could Happen to You?
It Can Happen to You.
Oh, okay.
And Erika, can you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger in that role? Or Chris too?
That's really funny, actually.
I don't know. It is a
God.
Soft,
it would make it so much funnier if Rosie Perez was pushing him around the whole time.
Oh my God, that's what I have written down too.
My God, that'd be hilarious.
I think he would be really good at the comedy of it and being the cop and everything.
Yeah, but how's he going to play a sad sack?
He plays such like a straight man. I don't know. Like, there's not a whole lot of comedy. I guess there is a little bit. But anyway.
No, there is, but like, again, I just can't see him as a sad sack, especially not 1993
kind of a pushover.
Yeah,
seriously. So yeah, that was one of them. The second one, according to the New York Times, is quote Warner Brothers Sergeant Rock, based on a comic book character.
Damn.
Unquote, which I actually believe we talked about during the Terminator 3 episode.
Yeah.
And I actually just read an update about this movie, I think yesterday, but it was a Variety article that says that Colin Farrell is in talks to star in it for DC.
Yeah, they started working on that a year or two ago. Or it was announced that they might make that movie a year or two ago.
When they did all the announcement for their movies or whatever.
When they were talking about,
I didn't know it was that big of a character. Although he's not doing super known.
No, he's like Nick Fury, but a little less known. He was big back in the day, when war comics were a big thing.
So then I imagine the Penguin is not part of the rebooted DCEU.
No, the Batman thing is its own thing. The Batman. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And he's
under so much makeup it wouldn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. He seems like he hates that role. I think he hates the makeup part, being in that makeup prosthetic stuff part of it.
3 hours or whatever to cover him in prosthetics.
Because there was pretty much something that said if he gets that, I doubt he's going to go back to the Penguin. Which is good. Have either of you watched that?
No, I still haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's really good.
You did watch it?
Really?
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah, I do.
And it made me rewatch the Batman, which I still don't like that Riddler character, but it's a lot easier to watch the second time when I'm like, okay, well, I hated it last time, so maybe this time, and it was a little better.
It's just fucking goes on forever. It's it has
so fucking long.
It has a Return of the King situation. Yeah. And it's just aren't you going to fucking end? And then at the end, they're riding motorcycles together. And that goes on for 5 fucking minutes.
Yep.
There's they're riding off into the fucking, the moonlight or whatever. And they're just riding
opposite ways.
Yeah, but you watch them going opposite ways for so long.
But then they keep riding. And 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 then they go opposite ways. We didn't need fucking 4 minutes of this shit. That drove me crazy. Anyways.
Yeah, it's, they could have cut a storyline and a half out of that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so the New York Times article also lists, quote, Ron Howard's Curious George, which they eventually made in 2006, although that definitely was not directed by Ron Howard.
No. Was he going to be the man in the yellow hat?
That's what, that was my question right here, was I don't know.
What?
Who else?
Also, was it live action? Because that's hilarious.
Well,
we could have had
Will Ferrell was live action, was it not?
What? No.
Is it?
Was it?
That was animated. He was just the voice. Animated? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was just the voice. But we could have had a Dunstan checks in situation with Arnold as the man in the yellow hat. Oh, man.
Wait, what was that one with fucking Matt LeBlanc? And they played baseball?
It's what's his name? It's not, I don't know. I want to say JoJo or something, but it's not that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's just the name
one where
of
he's
the
a baseball
monkey.
player.
Yeah. It's just the name of the monkey.
It's the name of the monkey?
I'm pretty sure. God, what is that movie
Dunstan Strikes Out? Was it a sequel?
No. It was its own movie.
I'm surprised it's not. Let's see if it's on his. It's not going to be on his.
Dunstan checks in, most valuable primate, and then whatever this
MVP.
Movie is.
Was it not? Was it?
No. That's a hockey movie.
Oh, it's called Ed.
Ed. Yeah. Right? I'm pretty sure Ed is the monkey's name.
Did anyone watch that? Because I would kind of want to watch that one. And I know Erika would watch that because she likes Friends. She'll watch some.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, she loves monkeys.
Anyway, so did anyone watch that Curious George movie?
I haven't seen it.
I was not curious. Sorry, none of you should have laughed.
The last one the article mentions is, quote, Sweet Tooth, in which he would have played the Tooth Fairy, unquote. But that one makes sense because that eventually got remade in made in 2010, starring The Rock. Or, sorry, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, not like the Nicolas Cage
starring The Rock.
Just the movie The Rock.
Just his face is a TV and it's just playing that movie the entire time.
I did not watch that, Erika. Erika, you said you watched that last night, right? Not last night, but last night you said you watched that. Okay. It's just exactly what you think it would be, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
I remember Toothless better than I remember that movie.
What's Toothless?
I think it was a Disney film with the oh god, her name just went out my head. The lady from Cheers.
Rhea Perlman?
No, the Shelley Long?
Christy Alley?
Christy Alley.
Shelley Long.
Oh, Christy Alley?
Christy Alley. Oh, yeah. You tried to show me that, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this.
I forgot about that.
Wait, wasn't Tyra Banks in something?
Yeah, that's a Disney Channel original movie where she plays a
Barbie doll.
Yeah, she plays a doll that comes to life.
Called Life Size.
I forget you guys are around the same age, so you guys have kind of watched the same movies, like the kids movies. Okay. So does anyone notice a pattern here as far as the types of movies he's considering?
Comedies, family comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason for this is because according to like a few different sources, is now that he was a father, he was actively looking to soften his image a little bit. He was also wanting something that wouldn't require much travel so that he could stay closer to home.
Okay.
And while he doesn't outright admit it in his book, he does sort of touch on it a little bit, saying, quote, the idea of a warmer, more cuddly action. Sorry, he's talking about Last Action Hero right here. The idea of a warmer, more cuddly action movie did seem right for the times. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton had just beaten George Bush in the 1992 presidential election, and the media were full of stories about baby boomers taking over for the World War II generation and about how America was now going into an anti-violence direction. Entertainment journalists were saying, and this is him quoting them, I wonder what this means for conservative hardcore action heroes like Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Are the audiences now more into peace and love? And that was then he continues by saying, that's the trend that I wanted to connect with. And yeah, unquote. But I do think he made the right choice out of those four movies that he was considering. Although, like we're saying, like it could happen to you after watching it last night. Just a scene of him arguing with Rosie Perez.
Oh, that would be great.
So good, like a subtitled scene of him arguing with Rosie Perez. And granted, that character doesn't really get too like hot-headed. He's very mellow, or him just being berated by by Rosie Perez.
If he could pull it off, that'd be an amazing movie.
Okay, so anyway, Arnold's team sets up a meeting with Columbia in January 1992, which takes place at his restaurant, Shotzi on Main, R.I.P.
What?
I looked it up because I was like, I thought we talked about this before.
Maybe. I don't remember.
He had a restaurant. It was like a schnitzel place.
Oh, yeah.
Vaguely Hollywood on Sunset or something like that, but it was called Shotzi on Main. It was open till like 2007, I think. And I was looking it up today and I was like, I got to stop. This is why this is taking so long. Why are you looking up Shotzi on Main? Because I was trying to find out when it closed. And then I saw an article. I was like, whoa, what's that about? And apparently they got a B.
Oh,
like food.
Like in 2000, which is like not the best.
Yeah.
That's
what the B's for, not the best.
And that's after the bribe.
Apparently that was after he kind of sold it, but he was still involved. I think it was still like he owns I think which we found out or I didn't mention during Stay Hungry. He owns like a whole block on in Venice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which was a story from Stay Hungry. I didn't mention, and it's Robert Englund talking about how after the movie wrapped, and they were all like, "Well, we probably need to like watch out for Arnold, like just like kind of try to take care of, like make sure like he's okay when he gets back, because we're working actors, but he's like he's still trying to break in to acting, and he might not be okay." And then we got back to LA and we figured out he's like a millionaire. He owns like the whole complex.
He is an actual real estate magnate.
Yeah, exactly. He owns the whole, he's what the fucking movie was about. He owns like a whole like block of buildings and like, he's fine. Anyway, okay.
Actually, he really needs this one small gym to close down in order for him to complete his acquisition. And I got some ideas from the movie.
Okay. So during this meeting at Shotzi on Main, which
should have been Pretzi's on Main,
which the original writers Zach Penn and Adam Leff were there, by the way. So apparently Arnold says about the script, quote, having a kid come to a movie awakened certain fantasies I had as a kid in Australia, unquote. But he then goes,
Austria, maybe?
Sorry. Having a kid.
Having a kid in Australia.
I mean, maybe he went on a vacation to Australia. I don't know.
Whatever. Having a kid come into a movie awakened certain fantasies I had as a. And I when I wrote this out, I even said in my head Australia, and I was like, "Don't say Australia. It's Austria." I said Australia. He then mentions being able to saddle up with John Wayne, who I feel would have called Makami or something like that. Like with that accent, he's like, "Get off my horse, you cunt." I don't know, because John Wayne's probably stupid. But I get what he's saying. He's like, "Oh yeah, like saddling up with John Wayne, you know, going into a movie. That would be awesome." He then continues by saying, quote, "The script had a great concept, but it wasn't executed professionally." Which the script writers in the room would whatever. Like, it's a meeting and whatever.
Also, he's not wrong. There's typos in the script.
Okay, well, there you go.
And didn't he make a big deal about that with something else too?
Yes, The Rock.
Yeah,
He's like, what is this? This is bullshit. Like, bring it back to me when it's written. Like, which makes sense. Like, I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
If it doesn't look professional, but
he's like, there's scribbles all in it. There's a picture of a penis right here. He didn't say that, but anyway.
I mean, I drew it, but how did it end up there?
I wouldn't have done it if the script was a little better. Okay, so Adam Leff says in a 2018 interview with Yahoo.com, quote, "In this meeting with Arnold, where we met him for the first time, they are discussing the script. So we think, okay, great. We're here to break out, some ideas, see where the weak spots are." Oh, and by the way, they were told, sorry, this is me real fast. By the way, they were told by their agent not to talk during the meeting. Just shut the fuck up. Just let them do what they're going to do. But yeah, he continues by saying, quote, and Arnold says, "I like the first 42 pages, then it gets a little flat." And we're like, yeah, okay, that first 42 pages are right, great, quote, unquote. But yeah, so basically to give you an idea of how much leverage Arnold had at this time, he asks Columbia to bring in Shane Black for rewrites, which they do, even though Arnold still hadn't agreed to be in the movie. So he wants rewrites on the movie, but he hasn't signed on to the movie yet.
Yeah. Rewrite this thing so I can consider being in it. That's pretty funny.
I mean, that's how this podcast works. I review what you guys write, and I'm like, no, I don't think I'm not gonna be on this piece of shit. That's why Erika filled in for me. On the other one, I was just like,
this isn't your strongest work, boys.
Whoa! You guys are trashing Bob Rafelson.
Yeah,
I am not dealing with any of that Bob Rafelson trash.
I mean, say what you want about him as a person, but him as an artist, not having it.
So they're basically Columbia is basically doing pretty much anything they can do to get him signed on at this point. To be clear, I'm in no way saying that this is a dumb move on Columbia's part, because Shane Black knows how to write action.
Yeah. And if you have a chance at getting Schwarzenegger in your movie, you fucking do it.
Exactly. Especially in 91.
Yeah, 91 Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. And at this time, Shane Black was both one of the top paid writers, as well as definitely one of the hottest writers, because his most recent movie had been The Last Boy Scout. Anyway, has anyone, besides Joe, I think Joe said he watched The Last Boy Scout, but has anyone seen The Last Boy Scout?
No, I think I've seen a little bit of it, but like on TNT or whatever.
Joe, you've seen it though, right?
I saw it probably somewhere around when this movie came out, or around when Erika was born. So it's been a minute. I remember there was like football in it, and somebody got shot on the football field. But that's about all I can remember. I remember it was bomb as fuck when I watched it, though.
Okay, so it's probably all right. I mean, I don't think I've seen one of his movies from him. This movie fucking sucks. So anyway, but because his track record up to this point was pretty good. It was actually pretty solid. Like, he'd already had a relationship with Arnold from working with him on Predator, which he also did uncredited rewrites for. In addition to his work on Predator, he also wrote the original Lethal Weapon and the Monster Squad in the same year. So that was 98. Sorry, he probably wrote it the year before, but they both got made in 1987. He then wrote the original draft for Lethal Weapon 2, which I haven't seen. Anybody? We've seen the first one.
I've seen the second one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the diplomatic immunity one. Yeah.
Is that the one with Gary Busey or no?
Shit. I can't remember. I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the third one has Joe Pesci and they shoot a nail gun around. That's not how nail guns work.
And then the fourth one I've definitely seen.
Yeah, the fourth one I've seen for sure.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
But I guess the studio, as well as Richard Donner, who was the director, rejected Shane Black's script because it was too dark, too violent, and he also had Mel Gibson dying at the end.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be too dark. His name is Shane Black. What do you expect?
Exactly. That was his reasoning. Maybe that's why, because he refused to do rewrites. He's like, fuck no. I made this dark for a reason. Black, dark, black, dark.
I'm Shane Black, not Shane Gray.
He ended up quitting 6 months in. He then took 2 years off from writing before coming back with The Last Boy Scout, which he was paid a record $175 million for. $1.75 million for not 100.
Okay,
but still, like $1.75 million.
That's huge
which was,
for a fucking script.
Yeah, which was a record at the time. Which he ends up breaking later. With I think it was $4 million for the Long Kiss Goodnight, which I haven't watched, but I'm sure. Did you guys watch that?
Yeah, I think I watched it around late 90s era, but that one I can say with more confidence that I thought it was really good because, you know, when you're going from 8 to 16, you know, that's a big gap in age. So I remember being good. It's with
that was Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, yeah.
And she's like I read a quick thing. She's like it's basically the Bourne Identity. So she's like a secret agent that got like a memory loss or something.
Amnesia, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And she dyes her hair blonde at some point. Yeah, I remember that being really good. I enjoyed that. So I haven't seen it this century, but
I haven't watched. He ends up taking a break, which whatever. Anyway, but I haven't watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which it's
a good
supposed
movie.
To be good.
Yeah.
We did watch The Nice Guys, which is really
very,
good.
very good.
I think I watched the beginning of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I was kind of, I don't know if I was in the mood for it, but it
you were
was
like,
just,
no, thanks.
So fucking stupid.
No, I was like, I thought it was a porn. I was trying to like, hey, Laura, let's watch this. You know, let's kind of follow the title. We ended up watching the movie Cockblock, so things didn't work out very well. No, I think it was just it was like a little frantic, a little like I thought it was going to be more like a kind of a spy mystery, more of like even like a at that time like an Affleck, like a directed movie, you know, like The Town or you know, Argo or whatever. But it was a little more
like Wicked. Hey, not enough Boston accents for you.
Just so I can fucking hate on them. Hey, Boston, I only hate you because of your sports teams. So, but no, it was a little frantic. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot again someday. But
it's a good movie. Like if you like The Nice Guys, it's very much.
Have you seen The Nice Guys?
I have not.
That one's really good.
I've seen The Other Guys.
That's
also funny.
One
different
with
movies,
Zoe Saldana, or no?
No, that's with
The Other Guys is Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
Okay, see, I'm thinking of. I don't like.
I don't know what
Morgan.
What?
I don't know, but I know which one you guys are talking about.
Okay.
Nice Guys is Russell Crowe and
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. It's like a 70s noir movie. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's like a murder mystery.
Kind of like a LA Confidential kind of.
Yeah, but 70s. Exactly. Like, well, not exactly.
And I assume much more comedic because I haven't seen LA Confidential. But
yes, definitely much more comedic.
Yeah. No, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is basically... It's that again, but in modern day with Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. It's very good.
So you got to watch that.
Yeah.
But so it totally makes sense why Columbia didn't hesitate when Arnold suggested Shane Black.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to hire someone to rewrite an action movie, that's probably a
pretty
good
much
choice.
what you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't get James Cameron.
Well, especially if you want it to be like a satire, because Shane Black is funny.
Shane Black. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Okay. So Columbia pays Shane Black $1 million to do a rewrite. Shane Black brings in his film school friend David Arnott to co-write with him, paying him $250,000 of the $1 million. Yeah. By the way, at this time, Zach Penn and Adam Leff were still sort of attached to the film, even though the studio had officially hired Shane Black to rewrite the script. So, according to both of them, Adam Leff and Zach Penn, I was going to say Adam Penn and Zach Leff, Shane Black initially told them that they were going to be part of the rewrite process, but then that eventually changed. And they actually talked about this when, they actually talked about when they thought like this may have happened, like basically when they were dropped from the film. They talked about this during an interview they did last December on the Inkler podcast, which I think is an AMC AFI podcast.
Oh,
it's a music podcast. It's like Fire Inside. Sorry,
I know it's going to happen every time. It immediately came into my head.
Every time.
The old Davy Daggers, or whatever the fuck his name is. Davy Havoc.
Yeah.
Oh no, Davy Daggers was a guy knew that was his like stage name. I'm like, sorry if you're out there, Davey.
He's lying. That's Joe's porn name.
Sorry, it's called the Ankler Podcast. It's an AFI.com podcast, which is God damn it. American Film Institute. I was like, a film inside? But it's a good episode. You can listen to it. It's basically them talking about their experience in the movie, but apparently they had a not so great dinner with Shane Black that took place shortly after the meeting with Arnold and the meeting they had at Shotzi's. Yep. They said that one of the first things he asked them was if they like Saturday Night Live. They said they do, and he counters by telling them that it's bad and not funny. What was this, early 90s, 1991 Saturday Night Live? That's when it was, whatever.
That's like prime for me. That's like,
yeah, same.
I mean, that's when we were kids.
Yeah, exactly. Which, anyway. So they ask why, and he says because all they do is repetition, and repeating the same jokes over and over again, that's not comedy. Adam Leff basically says that he was like, just like cool with like, he's like trying to keep like, stay quiet and not say anything because he's like, whatever, just don't say anything. Yeah. Zach Penn was not like that. First, he brings up the Monty Python spam sketch, and Shane Black was like, "Yeah, not funny." Which I watched the whole thing of because I watched part of it earlier, like way before I wrote this, and I was like, "Whatever."
Yeah,
I don't know. It's British. Like, did you guys actually watch it? Because I sent it to you guys.
I watched it.
Yes.
I mean, dude, I don't get Monty Python for the most part. Like, or at least like. I don't know. To be fair, it's a sketch show, and a lot of sketches don't work. Like when you take a sketch show in its in entirety, most of their sketches don't work. But and again, to be fair, maybe Monty Python is so revolutionary, and everything changed after that I just don't recognize it as being revolutionary anymore. I don't know, but like that shit sucked. That shit was bad.
Yeah. I watched it. I agree with everything you're saying. I have two counterpoints and one
Did you make notes?
fun story about this. So, there is that TV trope of Seinfeld isn't funny, where it's like Seinfeld kind of came out with the comedy style, and then everybody took it. Yeah. And then, then people who didn't grow up on it, like people like 10 years younger, go back and watch it. They're like, this isn't funny. But it's like, I mean, when it came out, it was fucking hilarious, but everybody just stole their shit. So I think that could be true. The other thing is like, so many of the people who like the generation before us who are our comedy icons, loved all that stuff. So I think kind of what you're saying is true. Like it was just unlike anything else that was on. And there was like, you're probably used to like fucking Laverne and Shirley or
like even
Three's Company, like formulaic stuff. And then you see this and you're like, oh my God, like what is this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
But the most important thing about that sketch though is, so, like spam, like your spam email or like spam calls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually from that sketch. Like that's where
really?
That's where that came from.
Wait, did you look it up?
No, I learned that within the past year or two. It's from a Monty Python sketch, and I never cared to watch it because even I tried to watch a Holy Grail recently. I'm like, this is dumb. But yeah, then when I watched that today, I was like, oh yeah, that's what it's from. Because in this sketch, all they just say is like spam, like over and over and over. Yeah. Basically,
that's the whole fucking joke.
Yep,
it's the whole goddamn joke.
They keep saying spam, but they're talking about the meat. So that's where like you're getting fucking spammed. That's where that comes from. Because if I knew anything from The Simpsons, the early internet nerds, we're all big Monty Python fans. So there you go. There's your little piece of internet history.
Yeah, and definitely with the what you said about the comedians that are what's the stuff with Conan a lot, who I think is fucking great.
Conan talks about Monty Python all the time.
Monty Python and then David Letterman, which I'm like, granted, I don't like Letterman because he seems like a fucking asshole, but like it's very, it's weird how much he likes him because Letterman is like hosting styles is completely different, and Conan's very like warm and trying to make the guests look as good as they can, and whereas Letterman has no problem shitting on them and letting them fail.
will hang them out to dry.
Yes,
like almost
exactly.
seems like he's trying to hang them out to dry most of the time.
Yeah. So, which is,
I mean, I don't watch a lot of Letterman, but he never made a great impression on me.
no.
Yeah, but I think like when Conan came out, that was something that was completely different.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see. And I think Letterman was kind of the same way when he started his show. Like it was just like something that hadn't been seen before, this new alt or different comedy or whatever.
Yeah, it was like the punk rock version of a late night talk show.
Exactly. But I can respect it for that. Doesn't mean I have to like watch it and enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, it's just I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Erica, what did you think of the sketch?
Okay, personally, I love Monty Python.
Nerd.
Like I know you like the Holy Grail, which I haven't seen since I was like 18, and not even that.
I mean, I like Holy Grail more than I like some of their other stuff. And I haven't seen that movie since I was like 16 or 17 or whatever. I should probably give it another shot because I barely remember it. But just like watching flying circus sketches versus watching Holy Grail is two pretty different things. I don't know.
My grandpa used to have a video like that's the same guys from Monty Python.
Mm-hmm.
It's called How to Irritate People. And that used to be my sister's and my like favorite video growing up, where it was just like stupid comedy sketches that like to this day somebody will say something and like one of those sketches will just pop into my head and I'm just sitting there like nobody knows what I'm talking about. And like this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Isn't that its own thing?
That's what I thought.
Okay. Go.
Yeah. Says it's a mockumentary sketch comedy television special.
So it's a special.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's one of
that
those
was like a
specials.
one-off thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just find it like I don't know. I find that type of humor is just up my alley. Like it's just stupid and nothing, and it doesn't even need to be clever.
Yeah.
Like it could
It's
be,
just like complete absurdity.
Yeah, it's just complete absurdity where it's just like what? Like,
and I like all those guys like individually.
Yeah.
I enjoy all of them as comedic actors, but like when I go back and try to watch any of the old Monty Python stuff, I just don't get it. Yeah. So it's just like a thing that goes over my head.
I'll find a couple of my favorites from How to Irritate People and see what you think, because it's a little different, because it's more of like they must have had some sort of like sketch comedy show.
Yeah, so they had the Flying Circus, which was a whole show that they did as Monty Python. Yeah.
I don't like
And then they also made a Flying Circus movie, but they ran as a TV show for a while.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. I'm not quite sure what exactly it was, because like I said, it was just called How to Irritate People, and I was just like, well, they're doing a great job. Like, I don't know. I mean, thoroughly enjoyed the humor. The first time I watched Monty Python, I was kind of like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is like absurdity and nonsense. But the older I get, the more often I watch it, the more I'm like, this is just like chef's kiss comedy gold for me.
So wait, you were okay with the sketch? What did you think of the sketch?
Oh, did you watch the Spam sketch?
Yeah, like as soon as I heard the absurd like old lady voice, I was like, oh my god, is this who I think it is? And then like, because the quality wasn't great, so I couldn't really see features very well. And it became pretty evident pretty quickly. I was like, this has got to be one of their sketches. This is so like their like timing and their type of like the way they write things and the way they perform it. Mm-hmm. And then by the end when it was like, oh, it's Monty Python, I was like, ugh, I could have told you that from the beginning. Like, now, did I like it? Not really. It was kind of irritating. But like, am I probably going to quote it now at this point? Maybe. We'll see.
So I'm siding with Shane Black here when he says that not funny.
Yeah. I'm on his side about that. Just less so about SNL, but you know.
Yeah, especially like, and I think 1991 was like transition. I guess this was like late 91, early 92, so it was like mid-season, but it was like a transition. I think that was before Chris Farley and all them came on, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I think it was
when Dana Carvey was on there and Kevin Nealon, but I don't think that Farley and Sandler and Spade are on there.
Yeah,
yet.
but I think they did have like Hartman and
yes, they did, because
Mike Myers and
probably Myers. Yeah, probably Mike Myers too. But but that was still like,
I think you're right. I think all the younger guys weren't on yet.
Yeah,
maybe Sandler, because Sandler was like the first one they got, right?
That was still like good. Anyway.
Yeah, that stuff's all still really good. But even if you go back and watch those, it's like I enjoy those seasons, but every SNL episode has like, I don't know, 60% stinkers.
Yeah.
Like
there's a reason that only a couple, like maybe one or two sketches will come out like every week, or not even that sometimes.
Yeah. It's like out of a season of SNL, you get like 8 like memorable sketches. So going back to their little meeting, but Zach Penn then starts naming a bunch of stuff, like just Airplane, more Monty Python stuff, and Adam Leff is basically sitting there like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He basically starts arguing with him about comedy at this point. Because apparently, I think this was Adam Leff that said Shane Black is just sitting there staring down at his knuckles. Just like... And apparently, Zach Penn cannot read social cues because he just doubles down by saying, this is a quote, Shane, I think repetition might be one of those cornerstones of comedy. And now that you mention it, I not only don't agree with you, I think it's the opposite. Unquote. So he's arguing with him. And anyway, really looking forward to spending hours and hours working on this script with you.
Both of them pretty much agree that this was basically the point that they were booted off the project.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because Shane Black and David Arnott began working on a rewrite in February 1991 with basically no involvement from Zach Penn or Adam Leff. And I read a ton of interviews that they've done for it, Zach Penn and Adam Leff, but I think one of them said something about how Shane Black got fed up enough with Zach Penn bugging him that he hung up on him and basically stopped returning his calls. Because he kept like trying to get updates about the script.
Yeah.
Also, the icing on the cake for Zach Penn and Adam Leff, the studio never officially hired them, so they were unable to get into the WGA, the Writers Guild.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, because I guess Columbia bought the script, but that didn't guarantee that they were hired. And I guess a rewrite is usually included in the contract, but it wasn't included in theirs.
Damn.
That sucks.
Yeah. So usually what happens, this was Zach Penn, but one of them explaining it. Usually what happens with spec scripts sometimes is the studio will buy the script and then will hire the writer to do a rewrite, which gets them into the Writers Guild. But since they were never officially hired, they were pretty much shit out of luck. They ended up appealing it, and I think that's what got them the story credit, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, so Shane Black and David Arnott began their rewrite with one of the major changes being the title, which they changed from Extremely Violent to The Last Action Hero. So they still have the on there. Yeah. Anyway, and this episode's already going to be long enough, so we'll probably end up addressing most of the script changes when we do the summary. But I want to talk about a few that Zach Penn and Adam Leff had enough of an issue with that they brought it up in multiple interviews. So one of them was the addition of the whole funeral sequence and the Leo the fart character, which like included apparently a bunch of fart jokes, like way more than they already had. Because while Shane Black may not find repetition funny, apparently he thinks fart jokes are hilarious. And I don't disagree.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I love me some fart jokes. Like that gag during the funeral when Benedict activates the bomb by pulling Leo the fart's finger is so dumb, but it's so good. Like, I completely forgot about that until we watched it like a few weeks ago. And I was like, oh, I forgot that he activates the bomb by just, I don't know. Anyway. So, according to the New York Times, apparently the only parts that remained from the original Zach Penn, Adam Leff script, which, Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong, but they were, quote, a scene in which the boy is mugged in real life, and another in which he daydreams of Slater playing Hamlet, a running gag in which detectives are teamed up with inappropriate partners, and the obscene-sounding nonsense dialogue screamed by Slater's boss, Lieutenant Decker, including, and this is quoted in the article, I've got that Chamber of Commerce doing cartwheels in my cocoa factory. Which, unquote, was just great to read in a New York Times article.
All that stuff is in the original script. Yeah, there's the mugging. The police chief has like a very slightly larger role in the movie, or in the original script. And then, what was that third thing you said?
The Hamlet thing.
There's like a classroom scene where he daydreams about Hamlet. Yeah.
Pretty much every single like interview or whatever that I read would like they always love that Hamlet scene.
It's good.
Yeah. But yeah, so Shane Black told Empire Magazine in a 2012 article looking back at the movie, he said, quote, me and my partner, David Arnott, were to take this very small script, which not a lot happens, and beef it up into a summer movie with a lot of setups and payoffs and reversals. Zach seemed to think that we ruined his script, but I was actually quite fond of what we came up with, which is like a great backhanded compliment, like of a quote. Like, I don't know, just continues by describing one of the gags they added, saying, quote, and I'm kind of sad that they cut this one, but he says, quote, we had a silly gag where Slater reaches up, grabs a scratch on the film, and stabs a villain with it. I know that Columbia told us at the time that they were kind of happy with it, unquote. But I like the idea of the gag, but I think that kind of makes it seem like a little too self-aware.
Yeah, maybe? That's almost a little too Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more...
Grabs a what?
A scratch, like, you know how like there's like scratches on the, like
literal damage to the film?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would reach up, grab one of those, and stab someone with it, which is funny, but
it is funny. It's like a clever idea, but again, I think it might be a little too Looney Tunes. Especially for their script, for Shane Black's script.
Did you end up reading that one?
No. I'm just saying. Sorry, I'm meaning like the movie, like the final movie.
Okay, well, that's not the final script.
Yeah, so like
there's definitely way more changes after this.
Yeah. But I'm saying like. That almost fits the tone of the original script a little bit better.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That the original script is pretty loony. Like, not I shouldn't say it's pretty Looney Tunes, but it's a little more silly and the jokes are less subtle, I would say.
Gotcha. Well, if you want to read that script, that one's also online too. I can send it to you.
Yeah, if you send me the link,
But yeah, so anyway, one of the other big things that Penn and Left, there's got to be a super cool nickname we can use for them instead of like Penn and Left, like Saddam Peff? Pen left Penn? I don't know. I got nothing. Adam.
What's his first name?
Zach Penn, Adam Leff. If you can think of something, let me know, because I couldn't think of anything.
Zacadam. I don't know.
You got nothing. Anyway, so Penn and Leff definitely had a problem with one of the bigger changes that Shane Black and David Arnott made to the script, which was how the Danny character ends up inside the Jack Slater movie. So, Chris, do you remember how Danny ends up getting pulled into the movie in the original script?
Yes. So, in the original script, so you know how in the movie, he's in the theater watching like an older Jack Slater movie at the very beginning?
At the beginning, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the very beginning, he's watching the older Jack Slater movie, and then the projectionist invites him for a sneak preview of the new one, right?
Yeah.
That's the same in the original script, except as he's leaving the theater the first time, the projectionist is talking about how there's a tear in the screen, like a literal cut in the screen, that he needs to fix before the premiere. And so he's working on that when he leaves the theater. And so as Danny is watching the new Jack Slater movie, like the sneak preview, he happens to notice, the tear has opened up again. So he walks up to the screen and reaches his hand, like, through the screen to like try and fix it, to find the tape, to put it back together himself.
Okay.
Well, he's the only one in the theater.
Yeah, I know, but okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway. And the projectionist has like just disappeared. That's one of the major changes in the movie.
Don't mention that one yet. We'll get to that.
Okay, got it. But anyway, he reaches into the screen to try and find the tape so he can put the screen back together because it's like bugging him. And then he gets like sucked into the movie when he sticks his hand in there.
Okay. So, yes, that is a big change. And I have a real quick clip of Penn and Leff talking to Yahoo News about their problems with the final film and them mentioning the magic ticket as one of them. So here, I don't know who wants to play it, but...
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you gotta have a ticket, Danny, to see a movie, and have I got just the one?
I think the thing that I gagged on and still gag on today was the magic ticket. And that golden ticket, the magic ticket, I mean, that just still kills me. And what we had done in the original script, and this is that we had a scene where it's unclear exactly what happens, but the kid is sort of getting sucked through the screen.
Right, there was a tear in the screen.
There's a tear in the screen, and he's going up to inspect the tear, and he actually kind of gets sucked into the movie, and you never really know exactly what happens. I don't know, maybe that wasn't great either, but to me it was better than a magic ticket, which just... makes me sick to this day.
Okay, that's good. Okay, real quick.
Okay.
I would like to know why he found it so sickening.
Yeah.
Like, is it Willy Wonka, or like he doesn't like the chocolate factory? What's the deal?
I think they're just pissed off about. I will find a reason for that because we're gonna do.
You're done with the video, right?
But yes, I'm done with the video. But real quick, I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on this. But first, I have a quick quote from Shane Black discussing the change with the New York Times in 1993, saying, quote, "Instead of the nebulous tear in the screen, we wanted a MacGuffin which would set up a series of rules for us," unquote. But with the article then explaining that the ticket allowed the villains to enter the real world with real world rules, which, Chris, I'm assuming didn't happen in the Penn Left script, right?
No.
So they didn't come back to the real world until
the coming back to the real world is literally like the last thing that happens in the movie. It's like post climax.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Refractory period.
It is literally there's like 2 scenes after it. There's like 2 shots.
Okay.
It's totally different. There's like no meta real world stuff where Arnold is walking around the real world.
See, like
none of it.
I know we don't have like a full context of the original script because obviously, but I like the magic ticket idea with Benedict coming into the real world and then bringing the villains in. Like, I don't know if it was executed like in the best way, which we'll end up talking about later, but like mostly because Shane Black said they wanted to set up rules and then they're still kind of all over the place, which I didn't notice until I've watched it twice already. As far as what the ticket and the characters can actually do when they come into the real world. Yeah. But I don't know. It's still a fun idea.
Yeah, it's so I guess, you know, the idea of the tear in the screen, I thought was kind of like a little subtler and
yeah, it reminds me a little more like Supernatural, like
yes.
Yeah, it's also more mysterious.
Yeah.
Like there's no explanation to it.
Exactly, which is my next note because the ticket definitely makes it feel like more of a kids movie.
A little bit, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that feels way more like a kids movie. So I do like the screen tear because it's a little bit subtler in my opinion. However, it does present the problem of how do they get back? And like there's a reason they get back in the regular movie, or in that original script, but it feels a little bit more forced. Like the way they get back in the original script is they have to end up at a movie theater. And there's also a tear in that, like in the movie.
They figure out that they
no. They just happen to end up at the movie theater. So the movie takes place in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
And so they're just driving around LA. They're having like the climactic action chase scene.
Yeah.
And they end up in an old like abandoned movie theater. There's also a tear in that screen, and that's how they get back into the real world.
Okay.
Which feels a little bit bullshit to me.
Well, see, you're missing the point, and I understand why you're so upset now. It's basically an analogy for life. So first, how you get into the world is you go through a slit, you know, and then you're out there. And then how you, like, kind of what your goal is after that in life is to get back in another slit. So that's
Joe,
basically...
It's like a Chris Rock joke or something.
I'll agree with whatever you say if you stop saying slit.
A tear? Would that be better?
No.
Okay. Well, help me out here then.
The screen's vagina. That's what you want.
I thought a good idea would be maybe like some 3D glasses. Like this new video is 3D. He gets 3D glasses. They're special 3D glasses. It takes him into the movie, literally, and somebody on that side ends up with the glasses, which reverse.
Yeah, it's like like a similar concept to what they ended up with.
Yeah, but not like a hokey ticket. Like,
well, that's the thing is,
the ticket's kind of hokey.
Like the fact that it's like a solid gold ticket, I think is probably the worst part about it.
It's very Willy Wonka.
But otherwise, I don't really have a problem with it.
Neither do I.
When he was talking about how much worse it was, or like how mad it made him, I'm like, it is no dumber than what you did. Like, in no way, it's
that's what he said in that interview though too. He said that in that interview, and then like pretty much every interview that I've read with them too, he's like, I don't know how much better ours was, but still, like, it's not
well
that
then
stupid.
Stop talking about it.
Then shut the fuck up. He was trying to do what Joe said. That's the best way to go about it.
He should have just said exactly what Joe said.
Exactly.
See, what you're really looking for in life is a slit.
Is really important.
Right. The tear.
The story.
Specifically. Right?
The other thing though is like you were talking about Shane Black was talking about how he wanted to do, they did more like setup payoff stuff in their script. Setup and payoff stuff in the Shane Black script.
Okay, yes.
I think that's why the golden ticket is there, because it is, like he said, a MacGuffin. It helps to set up stuff that happens later in the movie. That is a vast improvement. Like, I would say that is probably the biggest improvement to the script, is all the setup and payoff stuff that Shane Black put in there, because there's not very much of it in the original script.
Okay.
Stuff just kind of happens.
Yeah. And last thing on the slit theory, that's why he changed his last name to Penn. That's
I thought you were going to...
There's no pun intended, pen name, but...
I thought you were going to make a Slater Slitter.
That was his original name.
He goes, damn.
It's short for penis.
I'm also thinking like a little kid. I'm like, the whole villain thing. Like when I first saw that, I was like, oh man. I mean, just imagining all the stuff that they could do at the end, which I said, like I said, is the kind of like a not wasted opportunity. Like whatever, it worked out fine. But you also, I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get to the
kind of almost like a Roger Rabbit situation.
Yeah,
the blending of the two worlds.
Which this got compared to as well. But yeah. By the way, a couple more other complaints about the script, along with the one I just mentioned, were how dark the opening scene was compared to their version, which they compared the opening scene to that scene in Commando when he was like in the mall and like they didn't kill a kid in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. They don't kill a kid at the beginning.
Yeah,
in the movie?
they do.
I mean, they technically
Sort
they do,
of.
but
Technically,
What are you talking about?
his movie kid.
Jack Slater's kid.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
technically dies. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Just forgetting the whole. No, his kid ends up leaving us for school. He like goes.
He's going to a farm upstate, playground upstate.
Well, I just rewatched the beginning because we were going to talk about it, and you don't actually see him
you
die.
don't see it. Yes,
you
it
don't
doesn't
see him
show
die
until
at the
later.
beginning.
Yeah, because he's got to
I was
have
like,
that.
they didn't kill him at the beginning. What?
Speaking of, the other thing that they complained about was they changed Slater's character from the, like we were talking about earlier, kind of a dummy in their script to the sort of world weary character, or just like more like aware, I guess, which was another complaint.
Which is, in my opinion, really good because he has way more of an arc
in Shane Black's one.
Yeah, than he does in, or at least a more interesting arc. Maybe it's not more of an arc, but more interesting arc.
So
than he does in the original script.
Does he stay dumb throughout the whole thing in the other one, or?
He's pretty, man. Dumb might be a little bit of a strong word, but kind of dumb. And yeah, pretty much the whole time.
Is it written well to where it's like, because I'm all about dumb if it's like written like The Simpsons would do it, or like Futurama, like kind of dumb.
I don't think it's written that well.
Is he McBain?
No,
not even
definitely
McBain,
not.
like
no.
Fry dumb. I'm talking about
but
like
that's what I'm saying. I think dumb is probably the wrong word. It's more like he's just he's just super one dimensional, and I do think that's super on purpose.
Yeah,
but he's just very one dimensional, and like it didn't work. Yeah, it just didn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
Not poorly written, but I think it was the wrong decision.
Anyway, while Shane Black and David Arnott, or Black David, as I'm going to call him from now on, see, that one was easy. Yep. So as Black David worked on their script, which kind of sounds like it was written by like the script was written by like a 18th century pirate captain, who was just like pulled through time and somehow landed a screenwriting career in 1990s Hollywood. It's like, Black David, writing your script. Okay, so Black David, Scourge of the Seven Seas, rewrote the script. Columbia.
Stupid.
While he was doing that, while they were doing that, Columbia was working on getting an A-list director. Unfortunately, they had quite a few pass, which not die, but like pass on the script. Oh. Yeah. Is that what you were thinking, Erika?
The golden age of Hollywood's just that time,
Script.
Yeah.
Just everyone that reads the script.
Yeah, they're like
dying.
Yeah,
it was like the director that directed Frank Capra.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, which according to an article on the site WeMinoredInFilm.com included Richard Donner, who did the Lethal Weapon series, so that definitely makes sense.
I thought he was part of the party.
Solid choice.
He was. It's that old. He actually. Anyway, it's more passing jokes. It also listed Penny Marshall and Gary Marshall, which I guess makes sense from like a financial standpoint. Well, it definitely makes sense from a financial standpoint because the two of Penny Marshall's last three movies were big and A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
And then Gary Marshall had recently done Pretty Woman, which made $463 million on a budget of $14 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get why they asked him, but they also don't have any experience with action films.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the right comedy sensibility either to me.
Yeah.
Like their comedy is different. Yeah.
Which is, I'm assuming, why they both said no.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
The next one was Lawrence Kasdan, who also said no, but that
makes sense.
Exactly. Would have been awesome.
Yeah.
And his list of movies he's directed is okay.
Such as?
His writing credits are way better, but his list of movies there's a bunch, but there's the notable ones were Silverado, which I've seen, but I don't remember. It's a cowboy movie with Kevin Kline. I think
Kevin Kline?
Costner might be in it too, but I know Kevin Kline's in it.
It sounds very familiar.
I mean,
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
If there's a cowboy or a baseball movie, there's a 90% chance that fucking Costner's in it.
Yeah.
The Big Chill, which I know was a movie.
I've heard it was good. I don't know anything.
Apparently, had a ripping soundtrack. That's all I know.
And then Dreamcatcher, which I think is based on a Stephen King book.
That sounds familiar.
I think I watched it, but that was before I was into Stephen King.
Oh, okay. I heard it was bad.
But that was like 25 years ago. But I remember it being straight dog shit. So.
Okay. Yes. And I'm pretty sure the critics were the same way about that.
Which one is Dreamcatcher?
It's Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman. There's a Dreamcatcher on the poster. I don't know. It's Morgan Freeman. I know Morgan Freeman's in it. I don't know who else is in it. I would say Anthony Hopkins, but I think that's Hearts of Atlantis.
Yeah, that's Hearts of Atlantis.
Yeah, that's a good book.
So I don't know.
Got it.
Anyway, he is, as far as Lawrence Kasdan, Larry Kasdan, great fucking action adventure writer.
Yeah.
So he definitely could have helped with that aspect because he wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and The Bodyguard. So he wrote a bunch more, but he also wrote. I think he co-wrote Solo, right?
Yes, yeah, him
and his son.
Yeah, him and Jake.
Which I don't remember that movie.
Neither do I.
But man, if they didn't try to shove in a bunch of Star Wars references, I would enjoy that movie a whole lot. that movie's fun,
like fan stuff.
Yeah, like bullshit, like trying to explain why he has the name Solo.
Oh yeah, because I remember that.
That fucking
he's by himself.
Bugged the shit out of me. I was like,
something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was literally. It's just because he didn't. Yeah. God.
So wait, what was his name before that?
He didn't have any. He was like a fucking street urchin. He didn't have a last name.
So wait, orphans don't have names?
I mean, if nobody gives them one, no. Like
interesting. Is that why in A Christmas Story, like not a Christmas Story, fucking A Christmas Carol, he just yells, "You boy!" Like that when he's like about to throw the gold, he's like, "Hey."
Well, yeah, Tiny Tim. His name is just Tim. They just gave him Tiny to begin with. He didn't even have a last name, and they only gave him Tim because it went well. It was
that's how poor the Cratchits were. Yeah, his dad wouldn't give him his last name.
Well, he's small. We'll call him Tiny. Tiny Tim, because Tiny Steve does not work.
That one's not going to last. We're not going to do the paperwork on that.
Okay, so next they supposedly asked Joel Schumacher, who at this point had really done like no action.
Yeah, what are his movies? It's like...
Well, I think he would have been able to handle the comedy part of it so far.
Sure.
Like that would have been interesting. But at this point, he'd done The Lost Boys. He'd done St. Elmo's Fire, and he'd done Flatliners, and I think he did one. I know he did one more, but I didn't write it down. And it was right before this.
Yeah.
And then we'd also find out later that he'd eventually do the Batman films. Although I'm assuming if he did Last Action Hero and it still ended up bombing, he definitely would have gotten to do those Batman films.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So that worked out.
I don't know.
One film, but not the second. So.
The fact that he did those Batman movies makes me I don't know, it might be interesting to see a Schumacher Last Action Hero.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like he has an idea of the comedy because have you seen The Lost Boys?
Not in a very long time.
It's funny. Like
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
And then the last one they mentioned is the Zucker brothers, which would have been interesting to see how they handle it and like see if they lean more into the parody side of it. By the way, they directed Airplane. And the first two Naked Gun movies, which I was actually curious why they were considered, because I was like, Zucker Brothers, really? But Airplane made $83 million on a $3.5 million budget.
Wow.
Shit.
Damn.
The Naked Gun movies are way bigger than I thought they were. with the first one making $78 million on a $12 million budget, and the second one making $87 million on a $23 million budget.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah. Also, one of them, which was Jerry Zucker, which is the more like versatile of the two, directed Ghost, which I think we discussed it during Kindergarten Cop, but was the top grossing film of 1990.
Damn.
Yeah. It brought in $500 million.
Jesus.
Wow.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that's why Columbia was. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes when brothers directors split up, it works out. Sometimes you get when Joel Cohen did the Garfield movie, you know. All right. For anybody that's wondering what the hell's going on, so there's the Coen brothers. You know, they did like Fargo and No Country for Old Men and everything. But then Bill Murray signed on to voice Garfield in a Garfield movie because he saw it was Joel Cohen, but it was a different Joel Cohen. So
you know, if he wasn't such a fucking recluse, he would have known that it wasn't the Joel. Like they probably would have called him. Like he could have called someone, or someone would have called him and like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, if he had made a single phone call to Joel Cohen,
just
who would have answered the phone for Bill Murray. Yeah, like Jesus.
Anyway, so Columbia was also turned down by someone we talked a little bit about during our Predator episode, future convicted felon John McTiernan. Yeah, and you got to listen to our Predator episode if you want to find out a little bit more about the whole convicted felon thing. But at this point, he had directed both Shane Black and Arnold in Predator, and then got on to do Die Hard and The Hunt for Red October. But yeah, so McTiernan was given the original Zach Penn, Adam Left script and had decided to pass. And he told the New York Times in 1993, quote, "It wasn't very good. It wasn't challenging or fascinating. It didn't have a spark," which, unquote, and ouch.
Right?
Because fuck, that's like right after the movie comes out, and kind of a dick move.
Yeah.
On his part, like that's punching down at that point in their careers.
Oh, for sure.
This was their first movie.
Yeah.
And it makes me curious what
that
the
they
fuck
barely
they
got credit for.
But anyway, apparently Columbia also asked Paul Verhoeven, who had recently directed Arnold in Total Recall, and whose last three movies had been major hits, which were Basic Instinct, Total Recall, and RoboCop.
Yeah.
And that was his first 3 American movies.
Damn.
So that's a pretty good role right there.
Yeah. He would have been perfect. I mean, this movie would have been rated R, but it'd be a good movie.
That would have been great.
Zach Penn and Adam Left's script was written as a rated R movie, obviously, right, Chris?
I mean, yeah, as written, it would have been rated R, but there was nothing that would have been lost if you would have made that PG-13, really.
Okay. But as far as Paul Verhoeven, I think he would have been perfect. Like I haven't seen Basic Instinct, but both Total Recall and RoboCop show that he definitely knows how to handle this type of film.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know if he'd be as interested in making all like the pop culture references stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's too much that's very meta about his movies.
He seems
like
very...
I do feel like it would have been a different movie. I do feel like it would have changed quite a bit, actually.
I feel like it might not have gotten made if they would have hired him because of how much how stubborn he seems.
Yeah.
And putting up a fight. But unfortunately, Verhoeven was busy getting another film off the ground titled Crusade, which he was actually planning to make with Schwarzenegger. And I think we touched on it when we did the Terminator 3 production episode. Listen to it.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
But according to Entertainment Weekly, it was supposed to be this huge 11th century sand and sandal epic that was supposedly going to cost around $100 million, which is an insane price tag at the time.
Yeah.
I think I said that Teeth 2 cost around $80 million, and that was like the biggest at the time. So, yeah. And they worked on getting this movie made for a while. Apparently, they began discussing it when they were making Total Recall. And Empire Magazine called it, quote, part Spartacus, part Conan. I actually said it right that time on the first try. Right-ish. Part Conan. It was going to be, they continued, they said, quote, it was going to be full-on vintage Verhoeven, with sets already built in Spain and cast ready to roll, including Robert Duvall, Jennifer Connelly, John Turturro, and Christopher McDonald, which I think is Shooter McGavin, right?
Yeah. That's Shooter McGavin.
Shooter.
Suck on that, baby.
That was unquote, but yeah, that would have been interesting. He was actually going to play Shooter McGavin. Anyway, as far as Crusade, Unfortunately, they could not seem to find the funding for it.
Wow.
Yeah, during the time Arnold was talking to Columbia about Last Action Hero, he and Verhoeven were also talking to Carolco about Crusade. But Carolco was on the verge of bankruptcy. So yeah, they put that on the back burner. But Arnold gives a great quote to Empire about what caused one of the studios. He doesn't say which one, and I'm pretty sure it's not Carolco, but yeah.
Damn.
But he tells Empire Magazine in 2012 that Paul Verhoeven freaked out during a meeting. And that was one of the reasons why they never ended up doing the movie. Saying, quote, "It was all written and ready to go, but then Paul started going crazy. We had the final meeting with the studio and we were all sitting at this boardroom table. They said, so the budget is $100 million. That's a lot of money. What kind of guarantees do you have that we will get it for 100 and it won't go up to 130? Verhoeven, he says, what do you mean guarantees? There's no such thing as guarantees. Guarantees don't happen. And if anyone promises guarantees, they're lying. We don't even know that if you walk out of the building here, you won't get hit by a truck. There's no guarantee that we're going to make it till tomorrow. I cannot have control over God. I don't believe in God. Why am I talking about God? But someone, nature, could just rain for 3 months. And then what do we do? How can I give you a guarantee? This is ludicrous. And then Schwarzenegger continues saying, I kept kicking him under the table and trying to tell him to shut up while we're ahead. But he just wouldn't. That was it. That was the end of the movie. Paul always tried to be honest, but you can be a little selective about when to be honest and when to just move on with the project. It was a shame, unquote. Yeah. So apparently, according to Schwarzenegger, Paul Verhoeven
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong, but that's probably not the best time to bring that up. He's not wrong. There is no God.
No.
Not wrong, Paul. You're just an asshole.
Yeah.
If they let him make that movie, he would have run the budget up to $129 million just to fuck with him.
or like 131. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. He's not wrong at all. He's
129.9.
Yeah.
By the way, in this same Empire article, Arnold also talks about a few more movies that he was offered that he did not end up doing. So he mentions The Rock, which we talked about, but he also mentions Die Hard. I'm assuming the Carl Winslow role. Like what is he going to play? He's not going to play John Die Hard, right? Like, there's no fucking way he's playing John Die. I can't remember his last name right now. I'm sorry. Isn't it John Die Hard?
McClane.
Yeah, it's McClane.
I'm pretty sure it's John Die Hard. Like it's Die Hard Day.
He could play the what's his fuck?
The guy with the ponytail?
Yeah. He could play that. I know he wouldn't have. Like that's that's probably too small a role for him. But
yeah. And then he mentions Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket.
In a role I don't remember. Animal Mother, who ends up being played by Adam Baldwin. Look him up because you'll recognize him when you look him up. But because I was like, I know that name. And then I looked him up. I was like,
Adam Baldwin? One of the Baldwin brothers?
No.
Oh.
I'm telling you, look him up. You'll be like, oh, that guy.
All right,
what was the character's name?
Animal Mother. Like the only two I remember. Oh, sorry, three. The drill sergeant. What's his name?
Arlie Emery.
Yeah, Arlie Emery. That's his name in the movie too. Matthew Modine, because he's the main character, and then fucking Kingpin. Joe, you recognize him? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Apparently he was on for that role. I don't know, according to Arnold. Anyway, back on track. Eventually Columbia sends John McTiernan the script written by the dreaded pirate king Black David. And he loves it.
God damn it.
I forgot I wrote that. Sorry. With him telling the New York Times in 1993, what drew me is the wacko sense of humor Shane Black and David Arnott brought. Shane had done enough service in the salt mines of action movies to ridicule them in an acid way. The script had so much venom that I loved it. I called Arnold and said, this thing is great. You have to read it. Arnold was about to commit to Tooth Fairy, and I held him up. Yeah.
Lucky for Arnold.
Yeah. So that's
right?
So would Arnold do the film? We'll find out next time. And that's going to do it for part one of our production coverage for Last Action Hero. But tune in next time when we'll discuss some of the bigger changes that were made to the script by yet another pretty darn famous screenwriter. We'll also find out exactly how many writers worked on the script. And I'll give you a little hint. It's probably more than you think. Oh, and also to make up for the fact that we've taken so long between movies, we're going to be releasing the Last Action Hero episodes as soon as we finish editing them. So they'll drop no longer than a week apart, but possibly sooner. Just want to give you a heads up. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And if you have a second, please do us a solid and leave a rating or review on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. because it helps us a ton. Anyway, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
See you at the party, Richter!
If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Potty Richter to make sure you never miss an episode. See You at the Potty Richter is a production of Tape Deck Media. Follow Tape Deck on Instagram at tapedeck_media or look us up on Facebook for more hilarious podcasts.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.